Hi, it's Dr. Fox, licensed psychologist in the state of Texas, an expert in the area of personality disorders. And today I'm going to talk about deconstructing demons. And what I'm about to tell you is from a session I had earlier today. And after the session, I asked the person I was meeting with, I said, do you mind if I use this for a video? And she said, sure. She said, that's fine. And typically I don't mention anything about sessions. If I do, I always make sure that I ask the client, make sure that they're fine and they're okay. And she was okay with it. So let's get into it. So today was our session. Now, yesterday we had spoken briefly just because we haven't been able to catch up just because of different issues, scheduling, things like that. And so it was just a quick check-in. So I checked in with her. Everything was fine. She was very positive. Things were going really well. So at the start of our session today, she said, I'm so glad that we're meeting today because I lost it yesterday. I said, okay. I said, well, tell me about it. So she proceeds to tell me that her roommate was having issues with her. She was having issues with her roommate. And then they started threatening each other, saying, well, I'm going to move out. No, I'm going to move out. And things just escalated from there. So this particular individual, my client, she got so frustrated. Now, she does have a history of acting out violently towards others and things like that. So what she did is she started punching a solid oak door. And she punched it several times. And she does have a history of punching objects and people and things like that. She's never hit her roommate, thank goodness. But then twice she started punching the door. Now, I saw her this morning and her hand, her 3 knuckles here are swollen over and they are black and blue. And looks a little greenish. So she calls it a Hulk hand. So as we're talking about the difference between yesterday and today, and all that transpired and how she was doing well, and then things changed. And if you have borderline personality disorder, right, you're not at all surprised to know that there are instances that can just cause this massive change. And what's interesting is, so as we talked about this, and she has built a lot of skills. She's had a lot of great success. We've worked well together for a long time. She's built a lot of skills, as I mentioned. She has a lot of good insight. She manages herself very well now. And an incident like this hadn't happened in a long time. And we've done a lot of DBT work. We've done a lot of transference-focused work, which is, she recognizes her dichotomy between different aspects of herself and others and expectations. And she's certainly aware of her core content and what drives her surface structure behavior. And she's been using a lot of these DBT strategies, particularly radical acceptance, distress tolerance, things like that. And as we're talking, she starts to say, I don't even know the point about why I learned these things. It seems so irrelevant. And I know that these people, she starts then naming different people that she's been trying to repair these relationships with. And one reason or another, that they've been a little distant and she hasn't talked to them in a while. And she says, forget it. I'm just going to write them off and all of this. And as we start talking, so she has a point where she says, heck with it. Now, she doesn't say heck with it, right? She says the more adult version of it. I'll let you figure out what that is. So when she says heck with it, she becomes very self-destructive. She acts out violently. She goes back to what we've called default behaviors. Now, if you heard my other videos, I talk about default behaviors. These are those quick fall back to behaviors. Now, for those with personality disorders, borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, all the others, those tend to be maladaptive patterns. Now, she tried really, really hard, and she's implemented a lot of these adaptive and healthy strategies as we've worked together. But the things that happen with her roommate, the sense of feeling stuck, and then punching the wall, and not having contact with these people she's trying to repair relationships with, all of those things pull together. And what I said to her, I said, what's happening is your demon is getting the best of you. And she kind of stopped for a sec, and she was like, and you could tell she kind of breathed out a little bit, and she knew what I was talking about. And what I'm talking about is deconstructing your demon. Hers is, it's a heck with it demon. Now, it's not the heck with it, right? We know what it is. But it's the heck with it demon for her. When all this pressure and all this stuff, she gets all this pressure and she says, what? Heck with it. And goes right back to those maladaptive behaviors. She goes back to the comfort of those maladaptive behaviors because if you've read my workbook or if you've seen my other videos or anything else, we know that there are short-term rewards but long-term consequences. So for her, what is the short-term reward? She punches the door. She gets her energy out. She gets all that anger out and all that frustration and all of that sadness and all of that rage, and she gets it out. That's the reward. What's the consequence? Well, she doesn't have health insurance, so she had to go to urgent care. She had to pay out of pocket so that they could x-ray her hand. It's all puffed up. It hurts. It's hard for her to relax because I'm thinking about how many times we just sit here and we touch our hands or things like that. So she's like, right, that it really hurts. That's the long-term consequence. So how do we deconstruct our demons? How do we do that? So let's say that you have your heck with it demon. How would you deconstruct that? The first thing we have to do is we have to recognize the short-term rewards for giving in to that heck with it demon. Recognize what that is. For her, it's getting out all of this energy. It's getting out all of that hate, getting out all of that sadness, getting out all of that sense of abandonment and emptiness and all of that core content. Problem is you're doing it in a maladaptive way. So deconstructing it is going back to those strategies that work, going back to those DBT strategies that work, going back to recognizing the dichotomy that she's struggling with, right? Self-acceptance and understanding of others, and saying, you know what? Now I know that if I'm going to say heck with it, that's my demon talking. My demon, what it does is that it wants you to say heck with it, because it's like if you've ever seen the movie Beetlejuice. I hope you have. If not, check it out. It's great. But it's like saying Beetlejuice, 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 and you say it 3 times and he appears, right? It's the same thing for your heck with it demon. As soon as you say heck with it, and you may have your own type of demon, whatever that verbiage is, whatever that signal is to your demon, and what it does is it pops up and it wraps around you. And when it wraps around you, oddly enough, it's comforting. It's a false sense of comfort because it tricks you. It tricks you into thinking going back to drinking, going back to drugging, going back to promiscuity, going back to rage, going back to violence, going back to whatever those maladaptive patterns are. The problem is that you also have the long-term consequence, distance from family, urgent care bills, all these other things that you have to pay for and that you have to now deal with, which have made things even worse. And what does your demon do with that? Your demon then tells you, well, told you, just accept me and we can go back. I'll make you feel okay. I'll give you what you're used to. I'll bring you back to that. Yeah, it's painful, but at least you know it's painful. Yeah, it's chaotic, but at least you know it's chaotic. Yeah, it's lonely, but at least you know it's lonely, so on and so forth. And it tells you these things, convinces you of these things, and we have to resist it. We have to recognize that if your internal phrase, right, that calls up your demon is whatever it may be, resist it. That's when you have to use your DBT techniques. That's when you have to use your relaxation techniques, your cognitive restructuring techniques, your avoiding your negative thinking traps, whatever it is, whatever you need to use. But recognize that, because right before you say it, remember Beetlejuice, don't say Beetlejuice, because he's not going to do anything but cause you problems. So I hope that this video has helped you a little bit. I can keep elaborating on it if this is something that you've liked and enjoyed. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your time and attention. And hey, if you enjoyed it, leave a comment about what your demon is. And please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Bye-bye.